West Allen.
That's gonna be the first thing they hear when they come in. Let me tweet this out. So,
What West Allen?
It's a new song.
Yeah.
Let's put a little beat behind that.
Why is this? There we go.
Let's see. Sending out the tweet. Let's see if we got anybody in the chat yet. Yes, we got some people. Hello, hello. How is everybody? So, we got 3 topics for the live stream tonight, and we're going to be talking about them in this order. So we're going to talk about, well, I say in this order. I don't know if it's going to actually, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Let's take this picture down. We're going to talk about the Arrow trailer, the new trailer that just dropped today. We're going to talk about the spinoff series. We're going to talk about Legends of Tomorrow. Just kidding. We're not talking about Legends of Tomorrow. Did you see the title of that episode, by the way?
Yeah, Romeo vs. Juliet, Dawn of Justness?
Mm-hmm. Justness.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justness, yeah.
We're not talking about that. That's a joke. We'll talk a little bit about Lex Luthor and Crisis, and then if anybody wants to ask about the whole thing that WB posted about the Joker movie, which is absolutely hilarious that they had to post that. But did you see that? Did you see they had to post like a disclaimer or something?
Yeah, the joke thing is so stupid. So stupid. Like, and the replies to it were perfect. It was like, where were you when John Wick was doing it a couple of months ago?
Yeah. It's so strange to me how these critics and places like cherry pick things. Like, oh, this movie's really violent, so it's not good for us. But there's so many violent movies that come out. Well,
someone pointed out that a writer that wrote an article supporting the whole like concern around Joker wrote an article like maybe a few months ago defending video games, saying they don't cause people to go do this thing. I was like, well, it's the same thing. You can't defend one and then accuse the other. Not say anything about the other, but accuse the other of causing said violence. So stupid. As I said, people like, I don't even know what the end goal in it is. Is it to hurt the movie? So, like, my thoughts are, if it wasn't a DC movie, like if it was just a movie about a character study where a guy goes and does this stuff, would people be talking about it as much, or are people only talking about it because it's a mainstream property, but specifically a DC property? Because obviously, I don't think, is there anything Marvel could do that could really go down this route? Or Disney wouldn't do it anyway, so it'd have to be like a Sony thing, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
They wouldn't either. I don't know. Well, the movie comes out next week. I can't wait to see it. And like, it's just, I can't see how like 1 week it's praised, and then like it goes to another film festival, and then it's then like the drama snowballs into this big thing. Like, I don't know how it's like perfect. It's like, yeah, I don't know how it's like a 10 out of 10 1 week, and then it turns into this like dramatic, it's either an 8 or it's a 4.
An 8-minute standing ovation at the end or something like that.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's, the whole thing is crazy. Like the thing is that like the only thing I can think as well is they're trying to like stop it from being like, just because something's acclaimed doesn't mean people support the actions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's usually what I had, is like people saying, you can't sympathize with like a homicidal maniac. I was like, yeah, but you can empathize with them, but you don't have to support what they do. You can be like, oh, like when you see, like when he's just normal, like if he got kicked in the head, you'd be like, oh, why did that person kick him in the head? That's a bit rough. I feel bad for him. He just got kicked in the head for no reason.
Right.
You're empathizing and sympathizing with him. But then if he goes and shoots someone in the stomach or chops their head off, be like, oh, I agree with that as well. You can agree and disagree with their actions.
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Well, and I mean,
anyway,
art is also supposed to, I mean, it's supposed
Subjective.
to make you think, and you're supposed to like draw your own conclusions from it. So I think a lot of times people who don't understand art hold art to the same standard of things that are more rigid, because art isn't quite as rigid as, like, say, going in the military or something like that, you know? So they expect art to babysit, I guess, people, or it's really stupid. Like it's like the same argument with video games. Video game is art, just like anything else, you know? And people just, you have to be predisposed to do something like that for any piece of art to make you or compel you to do something like that, which is why it doesn't affect everybody the same way. It's just stupid. But I get it.
Yeah.
And the disclaimer thing was so dumb. I was like, so now we're going to have to like have these announcements when we do any kind of like superhero movies?
Well, yeah, the Warner Brothers thing was a bit, I thought like the fact that they were forced to do it was stupid, but the funny thing was I think it was the American military put out a warning to their troops about saying it.
Right.
You know what else they gave out a warning about last week?
What's that?
The Area 51 people doing the Naruto run. I'm not even joking. They 100% did. So that just gives you a bit of a look into what they give warnings about.
Right.
People doing an anime run into not into Area 51, just around that site. So just have a think about that.
Were you thinking about going to that? Were you going to go and Naruto run?
I don't know. I think only one person went in. It was like a 60-year-old woman or something. Like I think a grandma walked into Area 51. Is it Area 51 or Area 52?
It's 51.
51. What's Area 52? Maybe that's like apartment 4. No one ever knows anyway.
Well, we started off on a big bang.
Yeah, we've already demonetized.
Yeah,
so.
totally. Like, all right, we got like 70 people in here, so we might as well go ahead and get started. And I have a Reese's cup in my mouth, so peanut butter. Hey, I've heard, is this true that Australia people don't really use peanut butter? It's not really a thing. Is that true?
In like what sense? Like we don't eat it?
No, I mean, like it's just not very popular in Australia.
Like I have peanut butter in my cupboard, but like if people have toast in the morning, they'll have like Vegemite, or they'll have like avocado on toast or something. That's usually what people have.
Okay, so silly. Let's go ahead. We're going to talk about the Arrow trailer that dropped. I'm not going to show the trailer here. I was going to, but I think I'm going to save it for a video tomorrow. But we'll just go ahead and jump in and talk about it. I mean, you guys have already seen it. If you haven't, go watch it. It's the Sacrifice extended trailer. I believe it's out. Isn't it out on like the main channel, on the CW channel? Yeah,
it's got a lot of views already, which I was surprised with.
Right. Now, you've already done your video on it. I'll probably do mine tomorrow. I have to say, if you were not excited for Arrow yet, this trailer had to do it for you. I mean, I feel like it had to. There's so much in this trailer that was like fan service and getting us ready for like this. Like, I think it's going to be an emotional season this year for Arrow, because we're going to be going back and going through a lot of things that have happened in the past, apparently, and running into old characters. Because, I mean, are we... Like, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think we're going to be time traveling or alternate dimensions or multiverses? Like, what do you think we're going to be doing this season?
I don't know. It's sort of, I guess we have to wait till we know, because Oliver's obviously doing a mission for the Monitor. So I think we have to wait till we know what he's meant to be doing for the Monitor. But like the whole thing where it's like he's maybe time traveling, but on other Earths. Because that's definitely what the whole episode 1 thing suggests, where it seems like he's basically reliving the events from the pilot episode, but with a bit of a twist.
Right.
Where obviously like Malcolm Merlyn is married to his mom, or maybe Malcolm Merlyn is his dad and Tommy's his brother, something along those lines. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But that's what it seems like it is. And I think basically a lot of the episodes early on might be like pretty much just massive nods to those previous episodes and have like a similar story to certain aspects of certain seasons, but there'll be like different changes and stuff, which
because according
I'm interested in
the trailer. I mean, it's pretty clear that his mother in the trailer was surprised to see him, which leads me to believe that he maybe died in that universe, that he was one of the people that died on the boat, possibly. I mean,
and maybe Tommy went to the island.
It's weird, but yeah, I mean, possibly. There was somebody said there was a theory that it was Earth 2, but it didn't look like Earth 2 to me.
No, it was probably like something like a similar Earth to like Supergirl, I guess, where it's pretty much, it's a different Earth, but it looks pretty much like Earth 1.
Because Earth 2 had that like what was it, like a sepia color to it or whatever.
Yeah, and it just like the buildings and stuff look like very like mid 1900s, I guess.
Yeah. So so some of the things in the trailer that I noticed was there was a lot of throwbacks to like the very first season. Matter of fact, the first episode, I think there's a couple of shots where it looked like it was from that first episode, like him standing in front of the window, all of that.
Yeah.
Like it took me all the way back to that.
Well, even the from the promo images you're showing, where it has like Tommy Oliver standing on the couch and like Renee and Dinah there. That's literally from episode 1 of season 1, but instead of Renee and Dinah, it's Quentin Lance, and he's got the photo of the Hood, and they've got a photo of someone. I think it's the Dark Archer. I don't think it's the Hood. I think it's the Dark Archer.
People are saying
so, which makes me think that it might be Tommy went to the island.
Yeah.
And, or it could be Prometheus, but let's just say it's because in regards to this scene, it would make sense if one of them was that person in that photo, just like it was in episode 1 of season 1. So it'd be interesting if it was Tommy Merlin and that was the picture of the Dark Archer, because in the trailer you see Green Arrow versus Dark Archer a couple of times, and they basically recreate the season 1 finale fight on the rooftop while also having a fight in Malcolm Merlin's office, or it could be Tommy Merlin's office, who knows. But
yeah, that's true.
Like, honestly, like, I'm looking forward to Flash a lot, but if you watch all the shows, I don't know how Arrow couldn't be your most hyped show.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be any filler. It's just going to be bang, bang, bang until Crisis.
So here's another thought that I have with this, looking at the promo images now and thinking about the trailer, was we weren't sure, I guess, in the beginning if it was going to be like Oliver and just like Diggle doing stuff. But it looks like, obviously, that other characters are going to come along with them on this trip. So I wonder if they're going to be brought in on the, into the fold for like the plan that the Monitor has or whatever, or are they just going to be along for the ride? I wonder.
Yeah, like I can only see, like, I guess Laurel joining outside of Oliver and Diggle, because that's why I don't know how they're going to fit Renee and Dinah in here consistently. Because here it looks like they're just part of this different whatever's going on here.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they. Because I think I saw Renee or Rick Gonzalez. He was dressed up as Wild Dog on set.
Yeah.
I think it was. He took like a set photo. So he's definitely still going to be some form of Wild Dog, but
just from this other.
I think it's just going to be like that trio of Oliver, Laurel, and Diggle that are our people, if you know what I mean.
Right. So I wonder if like the first episode is going to be a foundation for characters that we're going to have moving forward, or if we're going to get these like alternate characters like for a few weeks. Do you think it's going to be episode by episode? We're going to see different versions, or?
Probably we might get like maybe like where 2 episodes are on the same existence, if that makes sense. But I think it pretty much will be like an episode by episode thing.
That's cool. Also, with Laurel Lance being there in a new suit, part of the team and everything, with everybody having new suits, there's going to be some sort of a time jump, I'm guessing, like we do every year. But do we have any idea like how, I mean, are we, because you got to remember at the end of last season, weren't we slightly ahead because, Felicity gave birth and all that stuff and how the season wrapped up? So there's going to have to be some sort of time jump, right?
Yeah, there would be. So what I think it was, so if I'd say it's about a 6-month time jump since like Oliver, like Emiko died, which is say Emiko died. That's the point. So Emiko died and then all that stuff happened where they went away. Let's just say it was 6 months. Well, no, because then it might be like 9 months.
I was going to say.
The baby would have been a couple of months old.
Yeah.
Because Felicity had been pregnant for a couple of months, but the baby was a couple of months old as well. So, yeah, I'd say 9 months, maybe.
Yeah. Sam with the $2 super chat, RIP Deathstroke returning, it won't be complete. So, I mean, it's pretty much been confirmed that Manu Bennett is one of the people that's not coming back for this final season, right? I mean, can they not use Deathstroke the character? Because there's a lot of Deathstroke stuff in the trailer.
They're literally the Deathstroke gang.
Right. So like I'm wondering, can they not, I mean, is because of Titans, are they not allowed to use their version of Deathstroke?
Well, I think if you can use the Deathstroke gang, and John Diggle Jr. is literally wearing a Deathstroke suit, which looks really similar to the Titans one. Looks more like the Titans one than the
one from Arrow.
Yeah, than the one from Arrow that we've seen in the past. Like, I don't see the issue in him coming back. I know that they were filming, I think it was episode, I want to say 7, and they were, what do you call it? They were filming in like the Lian Yu type of area. and there was a lot of guest stars in that episode. I think Thea was back for that episode. That's the one where Yao Fei's in the episode. There's people saying is it Selena Jade? I think that's the actress's name. Can't remember that plays Shadow.
Yeah.
There's people saying that she might have been in the episode as well, but might have been, it could have been there. I don't know. There was very secretive, that shooting. So you never know. There could be a big Leanne Yu episode where everyone that was on Leanne Yu was that's ever been there. Sorry, was in an episode. Who knows?
Yeah. So overall, I think, as far as the trailer goes, I'll give more of my thoughts tomorrow in my video, and Pagey has a whole video out now, so if you guys want to check that out after we're done, get over there and watch that. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for the trailer. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about from the trailer.
Trying to think of something ahead. Talia al Ghul's back, which I wasn't expecting. That's pretty cool. And
Cupid Stupid's back. Just kidding.
Oh god, imagine that. She's in the series finale. She comes back for one more time.
Most people wouldn't care, but I would hate it. It would drive me up the wall. Bring back Artemis. Wow.
Oh god.
Right.
I'd rather not.
So we're going to move on to the next topic, which is the announcement that we're getting a spin-off show from Arrow once it ends. It's going to be a new Green Arrow series. And that series is going to have Mia Smoke as Green Arrow. Legit, she will be Green Arrow. Then we're going to have the two Canaries, Dinah and Laurel, in a Birds of Prey-esque series where we're not sure what time period it's based in. Like, we know it's in the future, but when in the future? Is it like between a certain point in time? Is it after the events of season 8? Like, we have no idea. And then some people were saying, what happens if they bring Mia back to present day and have her as the Green Arrow in present day?
God. I'll just start off. Whoever greenlit this show is so disconnected from the viewer base and what they thought of last season. Mm-hmm. They have to be. Like, they have to have, unless they would, like, literally, because, and this isn't an offense to anyone, but I think the only people that actually want to see Mia in the show are the Olicity stands, and I think, like, the rabid ones as well, like, the ones that, like, are obsessed with it. And then people that think that Catherine McNamara is super hot, and that's the only reason she should be on a show.
Right.
Because those are the only two arguments I've seen. Is that, oh, she's hot, so I want to have her on the show, and then, like, the whole thing with Olicity. No one said she's a good character, because if you say that, I'll ask you, explain why she's a good character, and no one will be able to explain why she's a good character.
Oh god.
And I find it. At first, I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'll give it a shot. But then I didn't know that they said that she was going to be taking the mantle of Green Arrow. As soon as I heard that, I didn't want the show to happen at all.
Right.
Because to me, that is trying to make the show like Arrow 2.0, but it's going to be like Diet Arrow or Arrow Light. Mm-hmm. Like sugar-free stuff. It's not calorific as good. It's not as, like, you got Diet Coke. It's not as good as normal Coke. Like, right. Let's be completely honest.
Yeah. Like, I mean, so let me acknowledge, first we got a super chat. Let me acknowledge it because it's not a question, it's just a comment. Dr. Cringe with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, I missed you guys. By the way, tell Pagey he needs to tweet more when he goes live. I never get notifications from Pagey. I think the Arrow spinoff will work. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cringe. And every Tuesday I'll be live from now till the show's going break again. And Pagey will join me whenever he has time. So just kind of remember that. But, we'll try and tweet it out. So as far as the show, as far as the spinoff show, from my point of view, you're absolutely right about the whole Green Arrow thing. When I first read it and I got to that part in the article, I literally had trouble like taking in that information because it's like, how do you that would be like starting a second Flash show and giving Nora the title of the Flash. I mean, that's essentially what this is. Except at least Nora, I can't believe I'm defending her here. At least Nora was around long enough for us to go, okay, well, I mean, we don't like it, but she was there for a whole season. Mia, even though she was there for the whole season, she was in flash forwards that took up like less than 10 minutes of an episode. There's only one full episode with her in it. And in that one episode, you could see that she just doesn't, and I hate to say this again, she doesn't have the chops to be a lead on a show. She just doesn't.
Yeah. Which comes back to the point where people say, oh, Catherine McNamara is just really hot. That's why I wanted to be there. And this isn't, I guess it's slightly offending, but I think that's pretty much the reason she has an acting career is because she is very good looking, not because of the acting ability.
Right.
And that comes back to something which is the only reason I think she's in the show is and I know this sounds weird, but like the Stan effect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and I'll give some evidence to it. So if this show is just Katie Cassidy, and it's just like Katie Cassidy has fans, but it's not to the ability where there's like a ridiculous fandom, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and there's no and she hasn't been part of like say a ship where all these stands accumulate and stuff like that. When you look at shows like Batwoman that's coming out, which I think will struggle because of this, but more recently Black Lightning, they don't have this like stan effect, which doesn't allow them to get viewers. Right. And with Batwoman, I think Batwoman's going to struggle, not because of all the drama, but because they don't have that stan effect. I mean, like no one's shipping Ruby Rose and her love interest in that show.
Right.
Like, let's be completely honest, no one is.
Right.
But then you look at like Legends, like all the Avalanche stuff and all the different things around that. Obviously, with Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, you had West Allen and like even like the Caitlyn stuff as well have stands. And I know why it sounds. Oh my God, Paige is talking about stands. It sounds so stupid. I feel like an idiot talking about it, but it's the actual truth.
Right,
behind
you have to have a balance between the hardcore fans and the stands who like ships. That's the only way
people that watch
live.
the people that watch the show either for a relationship or a character or an actress or an actor that they
you're absolutely right
stands off.
And that's why I mean let's be honest, you and I and anybody that does what we do, we deal with it enough to know that there is a big movement behind it, even if we don't like the movement, and it might even be like just a vocal minority of the movement, but still the stan culture does contribute to a chunk of the viewership. So
yeah, and it doesn't even really necessarily come down to viewership. It also comes down to just social media and how important that is.
Right, because even if they're not watching it every week, they're still stirring up interest in the show.
Yeah, and they're still talking about it and everything like that. And it just creates buzz, whether it's negative or positive, or just it segments onto just other chat about the show and outside of that. And I think they needed a character like that in the show and someone that was a bit younger. Because both Katie Cassidy and Juliana Harkavy are in their 30s, while I think Catherine McNamara is like 21 or 22. She's still very, very young. Right. So they needed someone like that. And I think they wanted to cheat a bit. And I think it is a bit of cheating because
it's a lead show, basically.
And well, not even that. They're not really creating a new character. They're just giving her a bow and arrow and saying you're the new Green Arrow.
Right.
Like and also side note, I think it's actually the only reason I might watch the show and sort of, I didn't want to say succeed, but the only reason I hope the show does decent enough is Katie Cassidy, because she sort of got shafted, let's be completely honest, by Arrow since season 1. Like, she was meant to be the series lead, like the female lead until the end. And then the whole Sarah Lance thing happened where she was Black Canary and sort of ruined Laurel's storyline because she wasn't allowed to progress like they'd imagined it. Then Felicity was brought in and sort of took over that like female lead and the whole relation. Like, if you watch back in season 1, Oliver and Laurel are it's pretty much meant to be like what Barry and Iris are on The Flash. It was meant to go. And then Laurel was meant to become Black. I think they said season 3, like she was, but it was meant to be a completely different storyline.
Right.
But then stuff happened. I don't know, Guggenheim effect, I don't know what it was, and then she died. And then she was brought back as this like different version, and even though the different version is a bit better.
You know what? It's almost like Guggenheim cheated on character development for Laurel, because they got rid of the one they had because she wasn't quite the character they wanted. So they couldn't figure out what to do with her, because she was filling the same role as Felicity technically on the show. So she kept getting pushed away and pushed away and pushed away. So they basically cheated to give us the Laurel that we really wanted, but they had to grab her from another Earth and then make her jump through all of these hoops. And here's the thing, if it wasn't for her being introduced in the first place, they would have never had this character on Arrow. So it's like, it's lucky that she was even brought back as a character from Earth 2, because they sort of had that character waiting there to happen. And I say this all the time, the Laurel that we have now is the best Laurel. This is the better of the two. So
yeah.
See you later, Nightwing. Have a good night. So and people like to complain all the time because they have this affinity for that first version of Laurel, but that first version of Laurel was not great.
She was flawed because it was like, it was pretty much, she was the completed, like they had the jigsaw. They'd done the jigsaw before they started shooting, and then all of a sudden someone smashed the table and the dog ate a couple of the pieces of the jigsaw, and there's not enough pieces there, and they're trying to put it together without all the pieces.
Right.
And then they got a random another jigsaw puzzle exploded and landed on top of their jigsaw puzzle. So there's all these different jigsaw puzzles on top of each other. That's pretty much what Laurel was before she died.
And here's the thing.
Because of what had come before.
If you think about it and you go back and you watch season 1 and then you see what happened with Felicity, Felicity was never intended to be the character that she became on the show. And they said that from the beginning. They've said, you've seen the interviews, they've talked about it. So once Felicity got bumped up to where she was, Laurel had no chance at all. And that's the truth. Like, the Laurel from season 1 was going to be the love interest for Oliver, I'm pretty sure. And then once this thing with Felicity happened, they were stuck with, like, we have two characters and we have to fill time. Yeah. So they had to make this balance between the two of them. Laurel had no chance. Pretty
much, like, the thing was, like, either... And Felicity fans probably wouldn't want to hear it, but if Laurel remained Oliver's love interest, then Felicity, there's no need for Felicity.
Right. No, exactly.
Because they really made the whole tech thing and really went deeper into that to really make Felicity a bigger character.
Right.
So they could continue that storyline. That's pretty much. And then, like, obviously the whole thing with Sarah, like, for people who don't know, Sarah Lance was just meant to die on the thing. She wasn't meant to come back. She was meant to die. It was meant to be a long-lasting thing. She wasn't meant to come back to life. And I think they should have done that because it would have kept maybe some resentment there between Oliver and Quentin for a bit as well, if Sarah stayed dead. She wasn't meant to come back. It was meant to be almost be like a motivational thing to let Laurel go through. And then they brought it back.
Here goes, why was Dinah a separate character? Dinah is another... So when they got rid of the original Laurel, they ended up with a lot of problems. One of them was they needed a character like Black Canary, but they didn't have Laurel anymore because everybody would have wanted Laurel to be Oliver's love interest. Anyway, they ended up with a problem. So they introduced Dinah to fill that spot that Laurel had on the show as this sort of side character who got a few scenes here and there and was still Black Canary. That's what they needed her to do. And then they realized that she wasn't popular with the fans. So then they brought the other Laurel from Earth 2 in. Now you have two Black Canary characters. One of them who was a replacement for Laurel, and then literally Laurel replacing Laurel. So Dinah and current Laurel, even though they don't share their personalities are very different, they still once again fill the same role in the show. So they end up with two characters that fill the same role. That's why the cast is bloated on Arrow, and it has been for a while. And I think Dinah could have been trimmed. We literally could have had every story we've had for the last season and a half probably with Dinah not being there. She's unnecessary.
Yeah. So someone asked who's the real Black Canary. It's Laurel. So for those that know, her name's Dinah Laurel Lance, but her mum's name is Dinah. So it's just like a lot of kids, if they share the same name as their dad, they'll use their middle name.
And Dinah Drake. Like all these Dinahs. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But it's like, for example, Grant Gustin, his real name is Tom Gustin, but his middle name's Grant. So he goes by Grant Gustin. And also GG, alliteration. So there's a fun fact for the day because his dad's name is Tom.
People like names that have alliterations because they're easy to remember and it rolls off the tongue. So
yeah, but I was going to say something now. I can't remember what it was. It was pretty much for the whole Katie Cassidy thing just being pretty much shafted the entire thing of Arrow. I think this was pretty much. I think Beth Schwartz probably did this for her, trying to give her something. But she really, what this show should be, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me to an extent. You might have differing opinions on the lower end of it, but it really should be Laurel. Maybe Dinah, but Dinah isn't that important because I think Dinah's pretty much a dead character. You can't really do much with her, and she doesn't really have much of a backstory, so she's just there as a supporting character. But it should be Laurel recruiting. Well, if Dinah's there, maybe one, but even if Dinah is there or not, maybe two new heroes. And honestly, if they hadn't messed up the writing of Emiko at the end of last season, I would say Emiko would be one of those people. If they hadn't done everything, like it could be some like just retribution thing, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then also like maybe a very young hero, like maybe 16, 17, whatever character that might be. I know people were saying like they should have put Huntress back, but I think it's just difficult with the Birds of Prey situation in the movie. But that should be the show.
And we also have to remind everybody that's watching right now, it isn't an if this episode goes well, they're going to move forward. They've already put the pilot to order, which means that there is a pilot they're going to film for the show, and it would be very unlikely that they wouldn't order it to series, at least a short series.
Oh, it'd almost be a shock. Like everyone would have to hate what they did in it's episode 9, I think.
Right.
They'd have to hate it. Like it'd have to be like a 4 out of 10 episode across the board. Everyone would have to hate it, which isn't going to happen because people are going to be, and as I said, the whole stand thing comes back into it.
Somebody
people are going to support that episode.
This reminds us of the Supernatural backdoor pilot with the Winchester sisters, or not was it? No, it wasn't Winchester.
The Wayward Sisters.
The Wayward Sisters, that's it, yeah. But it didn't go over so well that people pretty much hated it, and so it didn't ever go to a series.
Well, it's just like most backdoor pilots actually don't get picked up. Like, I remember The Office did one that didn't get picked up. It was meant to be called like The Farm or something. Didn't get picked up because everyone was like, what the hell is this? And no one really got behind it.
Right.
And that Wayward, and there's another one. Can't remember off the top of my head.
There was another Supernatural spin-off that happened earlier that was basically about a vampire cult or something. I can't remember the name of that was. But it was like 3 or 4, was that maybe 5 seasons back. Anyway, it was stupid. So we got a donation over here for a super chat from Tyler Scully with a $19.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Welcome back, fellas. Thank you. Good to be back. What's your way to early predictions?
I think it's like what's your way too early? Like, oh my god, that's way too early to predict that.
TOO. Okay.
I think it's meant to be that. Yeah.
Yeah. Crisis, The Flash, and Arrow. Oh well, thank you for the super chat. Early predictions. Individually, I think Arrow is going to be a good season. I think there's enough in it for them to wrap up because I think it might have been Berlanti or Guggenheim. I can't remember in an interview said that they're going to try and answer all of our questions from every season, like any loose ends in this final season. So I'm happy about that. As far as Flash goes, I'm excited about the new showrunner. I think that the show needs a injection of new blood in it. And I know he's been on the show for a long time, but as a showrunner, and I think Pagey said this before, somebody can be great at something else, like directing and writing, but could be a horrible showrunner. But I'm going to keep my hopes up because Beth Schwartz exceeded my expectations in the first half of last season of Arrow. So I'm going to give him a shot. What do you think?
Just a quick thing. Oh, actually, I would say what I want about Crisis. Then I'll go to my little segue because someone reminded me in the comments of a better spin-off than 2040. But with Crisis, the only prediction I can give, and it's a rumor I've heard, is that all the cameos that are going to be in the thing.
Yeah.
They're all going to be in like a big montage.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Like each cameo is going to be like 5 to 10 seconds each.
So
like the older Bruce Wayne's
probably
going to be him sitting at the back computer, probably looking up, and you see like the Batmobile in the background or something like that. Burt Ward's like probably going to be Robin or Al. He might be Alfred in that situation. Like he might come into Kevin Conroy's Batman and go Bruce or Master Bruce or something. Master, what do you want to call him? Like. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, and that's probably why they asked Michael Rosenbaum that they can't pay him. Yeah, because you're only going to be there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute too, you guys. We're going to talk about the Michael Rosenbaum tweet.
Yeah, but that gives me something about the spin-off. Someone said Legion spin-off. It's too expensive. Let's be completely honest. Legion of Superheroes is just too expensive.
Look at Legends. Anything you imagine that's of that scale. Look at Legends, and that's exactly what it would become. So
yeah, but what would have been an awesome spin-off post-Crisis? A hero that's introduced in Crisis that experiences is maybe involved when the Earths collide but remembers it. And that's their struggle in season 1, is that they have memories of their previous life and this new life that's formed after Crisis.
Right.
It's a hard one to do. And it might be very CW-esque, but I think that'd be pretty cool.
So
if it was like this,
I'm going to say something really
like flashbacks almost
controversial in connection to what you're saying. And people are probably going to get triggered by this, but
West Allen spinoff.
No. I feel like TV shows in general, like Netflix shows, Hulu shows, the stuff on the CW and everything, they don't have the budget that the movies have to pull off like the big spectacular fights that we see in the films. But the benefit they have is they have more time to tell a story. So you can have a character introduced in like episode 1, and 5 seasons later, you have way more character development on that character than, in 5 movies, because it's just more time to tell the story of that character. So I would be okay with them not doing as much on the special effects side if some of the writing leaned into these stories for these characters. And I think something that really bugs me with Legends, and I'm not going to go off on a rant about Legends, but one of the things that bugs me about it is you have a series with so many interesting characters, and all they want to do is do comedy. They don't want to give us any character development for these characters, do anything with these stories. So we end up with like just a parody of an actual series. And you see something like Crisis coming up, although they're not going to have the big special effects that you would see in the movies, they have the opportunity to really tell some good stories. And I think that your idea about having a character introduced like that, even though it sounds like, well, they would introduce him in Crisis and then what? But I mean, remember, Batwoman was technically introduced in Crisis, or in Elseworlds. So you could do that and bring that character forward. I would love to see something like that. And they have the ability to tell those bigger stories. So having someone introduced in this way makes sense. Whereas in like a Marvel movie like Endgame, when people were saying, oh, there's going to be Wolverine and you're going to see all these other characters, they don't just drop in characters like that. But on the TV side, you can do that, Yeah. So I would love to see something like that. And I think that would be great. And that is obviously the benefit of the long form storytelling.
Yeah. Or it could even be put into that Birds of Prey thing with if like Laurel was leading it. Could be a new hero that's like confused, and that's like one of the storylines about the season is them in this new thing where they're just like, because everyone else would have just, this is their world,
right? But
they're like stuck between the two realities of what's happened. So I don't know, like,
so getting back to the spinoff series, the one thing that really bugs me outside of Mia being the Green Arrow is Dinah is there because Dinah obviously was one of the characters present in this future. So it makes sense that she's there for that reason. It's also to round out the all-female lead, which is fine as well, I guess. But out of the 3 characters, Mia obviously doesn't have a lot of backstory. But Dinah, who's been on the show for a while, you can't name anything about her that's unique to her character. She doesn't have there's no personality trait or anything about her that, in my opinion, is unique to her character, her personality, or anything. Even her powers weren't unique. So you have this character who has been around for a long time, but if I were to ask anybody, you don't see, okay, maybe it's just me, I don't see a lot of Dinah Drake fans running around. I mean, there's people that like her, but you don't see it like you see the Laurel Lance fans or the Felicity fans or the Oliver Queen fans or whatever. You don't see anybody standing Dinah Drake like that, and she's been on the show for a while. So I just found it odd that she was added into the mix. I mean, unless it's going to have something to do with her daughter. Maybe that's why they kept her around or something.
It could be something where maybe when Katie Cassidy pitched it, she pitched it with Dinah in mind.
Right.
Because, I don't know how it's going to work, because the only 2 options are it's set in the future, which I really couldn't care. The future's boring to me, because who's there? But anyway, that means Katie Cassidy and Juliana Harkavy are in makeup every episode.
Yeah.
The entire episode.
How long before they drop that, though? How long before we slowly see them lose?
Well, that's the thing. To avoid that, you'd have to like just make it that somehow Mia time travels back to present day.
No, I mean, like, they could literally just after a while the makeup stays the same, but the prosthetics aren't on everything, unless it's a short season. If it's a short season, it won't matter. It's only like 13 episodes. It's not a big deal. But to do it for a full run, that's a lot of prosthetic makeup to do every single day.
Yeah. I don't know.
And let's be honest here. I mean, and I don't mean to sound like I'm attacking it because of this reason, but so the shows we have left remaining are going to be Flash, Supergirl, Batwoman, Legends, if they get another season, maybe, I guess. Black Lightning, and now this Star City 2040, whatever. It seems like they have a lot of female characters in lead roles across these shows, which isn't a problem. I'm just saying it's an interesting way for them to market these shows moving forward, because I don't know if they're doing it as a direct result of like some sort of test they did and they found out that people want more female leads, or what the reason for that is for the Arrowverse shows. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, out of the shows remaining, there's more female leads than male.
No, that's
like
what I mean.
Legends,
Yeah.
because Legends is a Sarah Lance show. Let's be completely
Yeah,
honest.
it's Sarah and
Supergirl.
maybe Constantine moving into next season.
But I'd still say Sarah.
Sarah's
like really
the
a lot
lead,
of
yeah.
And I'm not really including Black Lightning in the conversation because I was saying out of the 5 Arrowverse shows,
Right.
and I don't know because from what I thought, especially with Flash, which is the most viewed show, it's mostly male.
Right.
It's I don't know what the demographic, like the actual percentage would be, but I thought it was mostly men, like at least 60%.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what direction.
See you
they're
later,
gonna
Sam.
go.
Have a good night. Thank you for all the.
Well, obviously, Mark, Supergirl has to be led by a female, unless you want the Well, actually, let's be completely honest. Season 2 or 3 were the Mon-El show, so I guess there's a debate there. But anyway,
Mon-El. People hate when I say this, but I feel like Mon-El was the Nora of Supergirl. Like that's just my thought on that. Like
Mon-El was literally like, let's stop Supergirl's development, the character,
right,
and let's cause the 2 actors to commit adultery. Offset.
There we go. Monetization gone. No, but I just find it interesting that they decided to go with that because this must be that other show that they were teasing as being the next, like, you know, Arrowverse spinoff show or whatever. And I kind of suspected we were going to get something like this because they want to keep it. We will never see a show like Legends pop up. You know what I mean? Like Legends was an experiment and they found out it was way too expensive, which is why it's become what it's become. So they wanted another sort of ground level show. I think Flash and Supergirl are the last like big budget shows we're going to have on the Arrowverse, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to see anything else like that.
They have to return the investment, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
like if you're going to spend the money on the budget, they have to bring in the views and the advertising dollars.
Yeah. All right, so we have some super chats. We're going to start off with Dr. Cringe with a $4.99 super chat. Here's something to discuss. A Supernatural Arrow spinoff, crossover spinoff series. What do you guys think? Would it work? How could it work? Well, I would say, okay, speaking hypothetical here, I think it would have worked. I mean, you could fit Arrow into like a Supernatural type situation with the series, but I think the ship has sailed. I don't think we'll see that crossover because we have 1 season left and you know, I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, it could have worked, but then you would have to incorporate Supernatural into the Arrowverse. So I don't know if that were, or just the style of Supernatural. I don't know if that's, I don't know. What do you think about that? Would you have liked to see, because they talked about it before about possibly having a crossover with Supernatural. Would you have liked that or not?
Well, I think it's unlikely. Like the only time I could have seen them having a crossover would have been that Scooby-Doo episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then again, Supernatural's gotten super meta. They honestly could have done an episode where the Supernatural gets sucked into like different CW shows, like where like for 10 minutes they're on Riverdale, for 10 minutes they're on Arrow, for 10 minutes they're on whatever the other show. Like they could have done that. Who knows? They might do it in their final season, but like they've done what Scooby Doo, and then they got sucked in, like they were in some like weird reality where they were on a sitcom,
right?
But played themselves. So they've done weird crap like that. I think the issue around that is probably trying to organize doing that around the other show's filming schedules. But they could have done that, like getting sucked into a TV or just being where they just appear on different CW shows. Would have been super meta, but it would have worked based off other stuff they've done.
All right, so any other thoughts on this one before we move on? We do have a super chat, but it's not directly related to this. So unless anybody else wants to say anything, I think we pretty much said everything we feel about this, unless you have any other thoughts.
Pretty much.
I'm going to watch it to see how it's going to be, but I can't guarantee I'm going to review it. That's the thing. So
my thing is that, I hate to say it, it could flop really badly. Because I've only seen I've said it, like I'm out of like say every 10 comments or impressions on it, you're lucky if you get 2 out of 10. I'd say 1 out of 10 is somewhat positive.
I would say on my video, like over 90% of the people agree that it's not going to be a good idea to do this.
Yeah, like because as I said, the flash forwards were the worst part of last season outside the opening few episodes, and Mia was like the big stood out like a sore thumb in regards to not being very good.
Right. So
yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on from this one. Let's see, we'll do that. And I'm going to read the super chat here. Amir Hadwan with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, based on the 2024 article, I presume the moment Barry vanished in Crisis was the moment he went back in time to save his younger self from Thawne, or did he vanish due to sacrificing himself in Crisis? That's the question, right? I mean, we don't know for sure, at least unless there's some news that came out that explained it. But I would say at this point, based on everything we've seen, the Crisis event, the connection to Crisis and him going back to save his mom, I don't think there is a connection anymore. I think it would be hard for them to connect that at this point.
If you read the newspaper makes you, like, it pretty much suggests that that's what happened, that they ran off and it ended up at the night that Barry's mum was murdered.
Right.
But I don't see them doing that.
No. So
because what happens to Barry? Because you got to remember, he runs away. Right. He saves his younger self, then runs away, and that's how Reverse Flash gets stuck there. But so what happens to Barry? Does he just run into a wall and get concussed and then get run over and die?
Right.
Like, what happens between that? Yeah.
Elijah, I'm moving up. Yours is the next question. But yeah, so I would think that, yeah, I mean, that version of Barry, the one that went back to tell himself not to do it, I think we're all...
That was the season 2 Barry, wasn't it?
Right, yeah. So I think we're all under the impression now that there's another Barry that fights with the Eobard, I guess. That would have been... But I think that would have been that season 1 Barry, I would think. Because it had to be the one before his mother was killed. It couldn't be the one with Crisis because his mother's already killed. He's already dead. So, right?
I don't know. There's about 17 flashes on that night.
Yeah, right. So. What I'm thinking of is that the one that everybody thinks initially goes back, it has to be the one, like the original version of the Flash. The one that Eobard fought at the beginning, the very first one. So it can't be the one from 2024 because that doesn't make any sense. So I think it's pretty much a done deal that the 2024 thing was a story that they set up, and now they have no intention of explaining which Flash that was. So, but thank you for the super chat. Elijah, I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one we have here. 199 super chat. It says, will Oliver's death affect Barry after Crisis? So I'm guessing you mean like emotionally and in his life or whatever. What do you think? I'll let you start this one.
Well, I'd assume Sean Connery. I'd assume so, because I doubt Barry's going to see Oliver die and go, "Oh, that's hilarious." I think that he's going to be affected by it, especially if Oliver, does something or sacrifices himself in order to save Barry. Which I honestly see Barry dying in Crisis, but coming back to life.
Yeah, because
they're going to have to do something big for that cliffhanger.
Because you did a video about like this basically bringing, what was it, like the season 1 Barry or something? Coming back.
Well, there's in that in episode 7 and 8, it's called The Last Temptation of Barry Allen Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah. And
it seems like Bloodwork's going to show possibly what it would be like if Barry was still the Flash and everything like that, but his mother was still alive, which would be pretty much what that original timeline or the one from the that saved his younger self back in the day. Right. That's what his life would have been like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, as far as like, no, you got sidetracked there. Anyway, obviously Barry's going to be affected by the death of Oliver Queen. We don't know if it's going to be like him dealing with it every week. See, here's the thing. This is the problem that I had with how Barry was affected with what happened at the end of season 4. And losing Ralph or whatever. Oliver and Barry, in my opinion, had a closer bond than Oliver and Ralph, or Barry and Ralph had at that time. So to see him sulk around for like 5 episodes, whatever it was, think about Ralph, you would think that the death of Oliver would affect him a lot more. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. I don't expect them to spend a lot of time on it, but I would love to see some sort of change in Barry, maybe in the way he does things because of this. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you so much for the go ahead.
It could push Barry into a more like leadership role, even though it sounds stupid. We're in season 6 and you have to say that. But with Oliver dead, maybe he feels more responsibility or something like that. But we obviously don't know what the effect of Crisis is. Like that's like we can theorize all we want, but we don't know how I say the show, but the Arrowverse as a whole is going to deal with
I
Crisis.
mean, we may end up with completely different shows after Crisis. Like, they may change everything. Like, it could almost be a reset of everything. You know?
Yeah.
We could end up with The Flash being... Because remember how after Flashpoint things changed, even though it was a slight change or whatever, and then after Barry time traveled the time before that, things changed. We could end up with something at a much larger scale than that. We could end up with, like, characters just completely different from the way they were before. And nobody notices it because it's different from time travel. So...
Yeah, like... And they have to have the balls to do it as well, because it's not as simple as like, oh, yeah, we can just do this, we can change this. It has to... Like, it still has to, like, be familiar with the people that watch the show, because you can't just change everything drastically. Like it's TV is different from comics. Like, the people have to realize that, because, like, this whole thing just started like a reboot, but you can't really do that with a show. It still has to somewhat continue, but I think they're gonna hopefully do something interesting. Like, it'd be pretty cool if it was just like random things we see, and it was just like, why is that like that? I was like, oh yeah, well, Crisis happened, crap changed, like that. And I don't know if it just matters who remembers stuff as well. Are they going to make it that every character remembers for some reason, just coincidentally or conveniently, or are they going to make it that Barry and, or I guess the main characters were present at like the changing of the multiverse?
Well,
are they going to? Yeah.
Well, another thing is, if you think about it, after Crisis and after Arrow is done, that leaves, depending on what happens, again, we're speculating because we don't know what happens after Crisis, but say Crisis ends, they save the multiverse, and that all the Earths still stay separate, which would be the easiest thing for them to do. That means that the Flash, even with Legends around, because of Legends' ability to time travel, that lets them tell any story they want. Because they're literally the main show on Earth 1. They don't have to deal with Arrow going into any of the crossover events. Supergirl's on Earth 38. Batwoman is not as connected to Flash as Arrow was, in terms of like things that may change or things that may happen. So that means that Flash could tell like any kind of time travel story they want to tell at this point. Because it's not, the main connection was Arrow. So we could end up with like some crazy stuff happening. It could be crazy. So I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So speaking of Crisis, you think we should talk about the Michael Rosenbaum statement?
Someone just asked, what was it? Kayla asked, what Earth do you think Black Lightning is from? I think they might make a nod to the comics and maybe go, what was the Earth? The Earth, it's the one where I think most of the Justice League is black. I think it's, let me look it up, because I think it's the same one that the Kal-El, the Black Superman's on.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Kal-El, Earth 23. Earth 23.
See, a lot of people think that Black Lightning is and Supergirl on the same Earth because of the mention of Supergirl early on, but that doesn't mean anything, honestly.
Yeah. So Earth 23, where pretty much not every single member of the Justice League, but most of them are either like the black characters, like like Cyborg, Steel, John Stewart, Green Lantern, or they do things where it's like Calvin Ellis.
Do you realize how cool that show would be, though, if they did a show like that with those characters? That would be a really cool show.
Why wouldn't you be able to either? But like, it wouldn't surprise me. That's like the nod they use. They use Earth 23.
Cancel the Star City thing from the future and just give me a show of that Earth. I would totally be down with that. So it's on Earth. Somebody save me. Would you want a Blue Beetle show in the Arrowverse? They couldn't afford to do it.
No,
that's like,
unless they did like
the original, like Ted Cord.
The original Ted Cord. You have to do Ted Cord.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would love to see that. Like, if Black Lightning did that, that would be awesome. Wait, Black Lightning is on but why is he not connected to the CW more? Wait,
the showrunner.
Right. The first season they didn't want to connect them, and the second season there was like rumors that they would eventually bring them in. They were trying their best to hold it back, but right now, if I say this, people are going to get so mad at me. Black Lightning did not perform very well last season, and if it wasn't for the series being connected to Netflix and having exclusivity deals, we probably would have not had another season of Black Lightning, to be completely honest. That's not talking about the quality of the show. I'm not speaking on that. I'm just saying that that is the reality of it. So I think they know that they have to bring the shows together to give it a little bump, I guess, to maybe bring people in. So Black Lightning, in my opinion, is unique because the main character is a much older character, and the daughters are, in my opinion, the more interesting of the three. But do you think that has anything to do with maybe the demographic detachment from Black Lightning? Do you think that might have something to do with it, or
maybe like it'll be interesting as like what if it was a Static Shock show?
Yeah, I think
Like,
Static Shock would
be...
probably do better, in my opinion. But
yeah,
even if it wasn't a better show, I think it would get better numbers.
Yeah, because it's just youth.
Laura E says, "What are your thoughts about the actor James leaving Supergirl? Did they release that? Did I miss that news?"
Is that Comic-Con? But he's leaving because he's in the Mortal Kombat movie. He couldn't do both. He had to train and go to. He's in Australia, I think, at the moment doing. Oh. They're doing Mortal Kombat.
So he's playing Jax, I guess.
Yes, I think. Yeah. I think that's the character he's playing, but that's why. If he didn't get Mortal Kombat, he'd still be on the show.
Sentinel of Aegis, Pagey, John Cryer Lex was honestly a disappointment. We really see good Lex in the movie. You thought that John Cryer's Lex was a disappointment?
He was good. I thought it was a good Lex Luthor.
He's not as good as he's not as good as this guy over here, but I thought
but he's like a Lex Luthor that's gone through everything and is a pretty,
So let's talk about Michael Rosenbaum. You guys got me off on a tangent here. So a lot of people were asking him about his whole Crisis thing, and everybody keeps coming back to Crisis. And so he released a statement about it. And before I even say the statement, I met Michael Rosenbaum. I had a chance to talk with him for a little bit. He is a funny dude. Like, he's absolutely hilarious. He plays pranks all the time. He's just a funny person. And so the statement to me comes off, and I think, Paige, you and I said that it's probably a PR stunt. So, but I'm going to read it anyway. We'll talk about it. It says, "Friends, many of you have tweeted and asked me about joining the Infinite crossover." This is Infinite crossover? Really? I thought he would say Crisis, but he said Infinite. Interesting. "I can't tell you how much this means to me. I'll just be straight up about this. WB called my agents Friday afternoon when I was in Florida visiting my grandmother in a nursing home. That's a very specific thing. Their offer, no script, no idea what I'm doing, no idea when I'm shooting." Which, if that's true, that is what you said, that they're going to be doing these like 5 to 10 second montages. They might not even have any like lines at all. "No idea when I'm shooting, basically no money, and the real kick in the ass we have to know now. My simple answer was pass. I think you can understand why. I hope this answers all of your questions. Lovingly, Rosenbaum." So, first of all, if that's a real statement, I feel like he's outing like the WB for not paying these cameos, because if they weren't going to pay him, then they're not paying anybody, I guess, right? I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. What do you think about
drama
that?
Alert.
I mean, I feel like they wouldn't. That his PR person. There's no way that his PR person thought that was appropriate, because that would pretty much seal the deal that they would never ask him to do anything again, not just with DC stuff, but with WB, unless he's just kidding, right? I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. It's weird to me. And I would love to see him in Crisis. I think it would be a shame to have Tom Welling there, but not have, him show up in some form or fashion. How they would do that, I don't know, because of what happened to his character. Spoiler alert, what happens to his character on Smallville. But I think bringing him back would be fine. I mean, I'd love to see him. He is my favorite Lex Luthor, period. I would say John Cryer did a great job on the show, in my opinion, with the material he was given and the way he was supposed to be portraying Lex. But I don't think anybody will ever come close to Michael Rosenbaum for my favorite Lex anywhere. Yeah,
and also an important thing to remember is that, like, he shaved his head for 10 years or whatever it was.
Right.
He was bald. That was him. It wasn't like a swimming cap over the top. And I think it'd be difficult to do that without shaving his head, especially because you can tell. I don't know. But that thing he says where it's like, don't know, like no script, no idea what he's actually specifically doing or when he's actually going to have to film,
right?
And the no money thing. He does say basically no money, so
right?
That pretty much means.
Here's the thing: that tweet, there was a lot of little things in that tweet that were unnecessary. I feel like he was filling in space to make it more shocking,
like lengthy. Yeah.
So I would be really shocked if he wasn't in the crossover, and even if it's just a scene,
Yeah, like I think it's just a bit of a G up, because the thing is that, like, look, it's got what 8,500 likes and 1,000 retweets. By tomorrow, have 10,000 plus likes and stuff,
Right.
if not more, if it spreads and stuff. Like Tom Welling's already confirmed.
Right.
So if he said yes, you think Michael Rosenbaum would have to, unless like Tom Welling has to suit up and stuff, and there's a higher cost. But if it does lead into the whole rumor I heard where it's literally like 5 to 10 second cameos and a big montage, then maybe he just doesn't see it's worth his time. Like if he actually had like a 10-minute speaking role or something, he'd probably go.
Hold on, Nerd Clips. What episode was that? I don't remember that. Remember that one episode where they had Lex was on life support, but Rosenbaum couldn't come back, so they used a guy that looked nothing like him?
No, it wasn't just one episode. I think it was like a couple of episodes. It was in season... It was when Lana had superpowers.
Oh, so like season 5? Season 4? Season 5?
No. Later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because Lana was possessed by that spirit that gave her superpowers. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's when Lana got like the powers through kryptonite. And she couldn't be around Clark because she was filled with kryptonite.
Right.
Like she had kryptonite in her blood or whatever it was.
Right. So I see season 10, season 8, season 7. There's a lot of people just shouting out seasons.
Yeah, it's one of the latest seasons. It's like I think it was when they still needed Lex for the story, but he like had. I think he left in season 7, so I think it would have to be season 8 or 9.
That's crazy. I didn't even remember that. Like I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So I think it would be a shame not to have Michael Rosenbaum in Crisis. I think he's the best Lex. I think for him, it's almost a shame that he's the best Lex that was on TV. Because if he was in a movie, people would be praising him. Like, oh, he was such a great Lex. But this, again, I think is why TV in some ways is better than movies. Because his Lex was so good because they did have so much time to tell his story. You know, with him and the stuff between him and his father and his relationship with Clark. Yeah, gosh, I would love to see him again. He's such a nice guy, too. That's a funny thing. When I went to get a picture with him, the booth that he was at was like, oh, we don't take credit cards. You have to have cash or whatever. And he was literally like, how much cash do you have? And I was like, I don't know, $12, $13 or something like that. And he was like, oh, come here. We'll take a bunch of pictures. He's like, you stood in line to talk to me. So I was like, wow, this is a really nice guy. So Lex Luthor, like being nice. Come on over. You know, but yeah, so I'd like to see him again at some point. So thoughts on recasting Wally? Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think Wally's story is gonna end in this season of The Flash. What do you think?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I don't know. I'm looking through Michael Rosenbaum's Twitter, and like the only thing he like replied to from a fan, someone went, quoted his thing, and they went, "Effing stupid executives always ruining everything. This would have been great. Respect the actors, know their worth." And all he replied was, haha, ... So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
Was he laughing that this person was blowing up? Or?
Yeah. So I know you didn't do a full video on it, but I did, and that's my video for tomorrow, along with the Arrow video, is the Kid Flash thing. So I won't talk too much about it here because I've got a whole video about it. But so Keenan Lonsdale released a song like a month ago where he literally says, I could quit the Flash if I want to. Like basically saying that it's my choice. I don't have to do it if I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And I actually think in some ways he probably was frustrated with playing Wally West because they never really used the character. I mean, he was used in the Savitar storyline because he was part of that storyline. But after that, it was like they just lost focus for him. And then they could have done with Wally what they did with Nora, but they didn't. They used another character. They got rid of Wally. And I actually think he was better on Legends, but it happened so late. It's like he should have joined like halfway through the season or something. But either way, we're going to get more episodes with Wally. And I think those episodes are going to be wrapping up his storyline. Because not having him there for Crisis is kind of stupid. Because it should be all hands on deck. So
yeah,
I think it's the end of Wally West. I don't think we're ever going to see his character become more than what it is on the show. I think that's it. So... what are your thoughts on it? You kind of feel the same way, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think he probably promised stuff and that never happened. Yeah, he's probably promised this is where your character's going to go, and then said it. Honestly, it's pretty much Laurel 2.0. Let's be completely honest.
Yeah.
And things came up, and they just went along with it. Whoever's saying, well, we have a ginger Wally West, the West in the Arrowverse are black, so there's your answer. Unless someone dyes their hair ginger, but who voluntarily dyes their hair ginger? Someone that's not there. But yeah, so
Keenan can't carry a show. Well, it's the thing was I don't think he had to carry the show. He just had to be. They just had to give him something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Mark basically said, I think pretty much once Wally's done here and Arrow's done, I think you're really going to get Roy Harper on and Wally West on Titans next season. If they get it next season, who knows? Because the budget this season has been #slashed.
Well, so that's the thing, Jordan. He was good on Legends. Why leave Legends? Because he didn't want to be there anymore. He literally, in the music video he made, he said he can quit the Flash if he wants to. That's what he did. He basically, like, I don't even think last season, like him coming back or the episodes he's supposed to get or whatever, I'm beginning to think that he's the one that didn't want to do it. He was touring and doing music. He probably didn't care. He's like, why am I, like, to be completely honest, guys, we geek out about the idea of Wally West, being on the show and being Kid Flash or whatever. He may not have that much connection to the character. So if life offers you up, the chance to go tour, make music, and do all these other things he was doing, being on RuPaul's Drag Race, I think, in Australia or something like that. I don't remember. He was doing a bunch of stuff. He was modeling, or come on The Flash in Vancouver and do 3 minutes a week of you getting knocked out and laying on the floor. I mean, that's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
And I think what episode was it? It might have been the beginning of season 4, where he was like, did you guys forget I was here or something like that? And it was almost like,
I think it was episode 2.
Yeah. It was so meta because it
was the episode he left. Right. It was the last episode he was there, which I think was episode 2 or 3.
Yeah. So he's like, did you forget I was here? And literally people did, because they had him doing nothing. And even over on Legends, even though he fit in better with the cast on Legends, they did the same thing with him on Legends that they did on The Flash. A speedster on Legends would have broke the show, because they have to have a bunch of misfits. A speedster is overpowered. So as much as I loved having him on there, and the thing is, you and I, before he ever went to Legends, we said he's probably going to get over there. He's going to be overpowered, and they're going to have to find a way to depower him every week or downplay his powers so they can tell a story. And that's essentially what they did. So Wally was so depressed on that episode. He was. The new 52 Wally West. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think if anybody's holding their breath for a ginger Wally West on the Flash TV series, you're going to pass out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to be holding it for a while. Yeah. Might as well ring the ambulance.
Can't explain Savitar's timeline. Oh my God.
What the hell?
I'm not. That's bait. I'm not taking that one. I'm not taking.
Can you recite all the decimals of
Giovanni also said, what was his plan for Jesse Quick? Who knows? Who cares, really? Where did he get his suit from? Who knows? I mean, what I meant is Keenan doesn't have the same screen presence as Grant. I like Keenan. Yeah, and that's fine. I think that the problem wasn't him. It was that they just had nothing for that character to do. That was the problem. He was never going to be the lead of the show. That was never going to happen. And actually, they said, well, it wasn't, it was when Todd Helbing wasn't the only showrunner. So it was like 2 seasons prior to that. They asked if they would eventually have Wally take over the mantle or somebody, take over that role. And they literally came out and said, Grant Gustin is the lead of the show. They will never give that title to anyone else, which I think is interesting, because then we had a whole season of Nora. So,
in regards to that, Titans are rumored to be in crisis. Guess where that rumor was that
we got that covered.
Birthed from? It was either Cosmic Book News. I think it was Cosmic Book News.
Instagram
did that.
Is that where it came from?
No.
Well, Giovanni,
that's just flash rumors.
One of these days I'll get you. I know you almost had me then. I almost took the bait. What was your reaction when Iris said we are the Flash? You weren't around for that? We did an after party for that. That was
Eric dabbed on that one from memory.
Did. So, the Nora season was extremely annoying. I used to think that season 4 was my least favorite season, but season 5 took the cake. I would watch season 4 a million times before I'd watch season 5 again. Would it matter if Wally came back white? I'm white, but I'd be But
What is he, Michael Jackson? Like, what's happening? Like, is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Crisis causes skin bleaching. Is that that's a clickbait title?
Yeah.
Wally bleached skin question mark. Is that what we're going with? If you weren't demonetized before, now we are.
Is Supergirl an anti-hero because she doesn't let Superman act like a hero? Ghost species on Guardian and God complex on Lena. She has no heroic traits. So you really don't like Supergirl, apparently. That's you've said a couple things, I guess, that are not quite fond of the Supergirl TV series. I don't think she's anti-hero. I mean, the thing is that they're never going to let Superman be the best character on a show about Supergirl. It's never going to happen. And I know it sucks because in honesty, Superman should be like the iconic key character, but the show is about Supergirl. So that's why I never liked the idea of Superman being a part of the show. The same thing about like Batman on Batwoman. If Batman were to come in and be like a regular character, it would still be a show about Batwoman. They would never let him be like the main character.
That's why what they've done with Batwoman is smart. If they did it the way that Supergirl did it with Superman, people would be blowing up. They'd be getting all angry and stuff.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. All they had to do with the Supergirl series to handle the Superman thing is that he just went off world and he's gone for an indefinite amount of time. And they would never have this trouble.
You know what I do?
What was that?
Have it that literally she comes out after the death of Superman. Have Doomsday kill him.
Yeah.
Do that. She's living up, and that's why people look up to her, because she's this new Kryptonian.
Every other way they could have done it would have been better than the way they did it. To be honest,
but that's because I don't know it was on CBS, and they went for the more like rom-com sort of thing. Like it definitely changes, and you can see like people that love Supergirl season 1 don't like the show from season 2 onwards. But I think it's improved every single season.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
season 1 is easily the worst.
And past season was the best for the show.
Yeah. But like, in my opinion, that's the perfect way you start it.
Mm-hmm. Sentinel of Ages.
Superman's
my entire life has been like a hero's journey, so I don't like when Supergirl bullshits a hero's journey. Okay, fair enough. Kayla says, I think Brandon Superman will die. I think anybody who is not a lead character on a series will die and stay dead. So yeah, that's probably what's going to happen with him.
Giovanni just wrote, season 1 is the only season I like. Well, that says more about you than it does us, Giovanni. So we'll just leave it there.
What's up, Cinematographic? How are you? Smallville had good writers. That's the difference. I agree for the most part, but go back and watch Smallville. There's some episodes that are kind of stupid. Not every episode.
I loved it when I was a kid though, but like I rewatched it like 3 years ago, and I was like, questionable episode, that one.
There's a few dodgy episodes over the years. So
yeah, but it's usually like the thing with super Smallville is that I don't necessarily think it has I think it has two seasons where I'd be like, might skip that. But I think overall it might have dodgy episodes, but it all builds up to a pretty satisfying ending.
Oh yeah.
And where it leads. But I think the season there's 2 seasons. It might be like season 5 is pretty bad, and then one of the last 3 is not the best. It might be the one before Zod.
Yeah.
But Zod's one wasn't that amazing. It was just cool to see the Phantom Zone. But anyway.
Well, I mean, and everybody's talking about the whole Superman thing with Supergirl, blah, blah, blah. But Krypton got canceled. And that was basically trying to be a Superman show without Superman. Yeah. And if you go back and you watch this past season, you'll see that they pushed it too hard. I think bringing in Lobo was like the end of it for them, to be honest. Like, don't think so. That show was trying so hard to pull in Superman viewers without actually showing Superman, which is why the whole the Batman prequel series, is it
Gotham?
What is that?
Gotham?
No, the prequel to the prequel.
Oh, Pennyworth,
right? Isn't that?
I was gonna say Pennywise for a second. Pennyworth.
I think
that's still going.
Yeah, that's another show where I feel like it's going to eventually burn out because they're trying to pull in viewers to watch a show about a Batman character that is so far detached from Batman that there's no point in the show.
Yeah. I haven't heard anyone talk about it since episode 1 came out, because I think they made episode 1 free on their servers after a week or something.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anyone talk about it.
I don't think
people talked about it at Comic-Con.
I think it's done. I think it's dead on arrival.
Yeah, people talked about it at Comic-Con, saying, they got to watch the pilot episode in the preview night, but after that, like no one was talking about it.
Yeah, and that's really bad because that's a network that was hoping this was going to be their big show. They have to realize they're trying to. So this is what they're doing, guys. They want to pull us in to support these shows, but they want to make them cheap. So they do it as a very loosely connected series to something we really like. So it's like, you like Batman? Well, here's like 3 times detached a show about Batman, and he may show up, or we may throw in a character from Batman, even though it's like 50 years before Batman's a thing. It may happen, you know, and it's such a stupid way to like bait the fans into watching these shows. So it's so dumb. So we're going to jump away from the DC TV series for just a second. There's 2 things I want to talk about that I kind of just thought about. And I'll ask you now because we're already demonetized, so why not?
Captain Marvel 2?
No. What do you think about Jeffrey Wright being Commissioner Gordon?
I'm fine with it. There's people going up, oh my God, like the term blackwashing or whatever the other term was, like, was just people of color taking over white characters. I think it's stupid for like characters where I think their race doesn't matter to the character. Like, who cares if Commissioner Gordon is Mexican, Asian, black, Native American, or whatever he might be? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I think like people use the term forced diversity, and I think forced diversity is a thing with certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think making, say, for example, you know, when people were saying they want the black Batman, they wanted Bruce Wayne to be black. I'm like, why wouldn't you just campaign for Luke Fox to be introduced into the cinematic universe?
Right.
That is literally a black Bat family member. Why would you not be? I mean, what's the other guy? Duke. Can't remember. What's his name? He's like a Robin. Can't remember off the top of my head. Duke something.
The one that plays he's like, what is his comic book name? It's like the armored bat suit, right? Is that what you're talking about?
That's Batwing. That's Luke Fox. That's it, but then there's what's his name? He's the Robin.
I don't remember my knowledge on Robins and stuff is very limited. So.
Is it the Signal? The Signal. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't remember.
That's a recent one though, right? That's one that.
Like, yeah, that was
okay. I remember who it is now that you said the name because I just saw the issue recently and I didn't read it. So
yeah, it was like end of New 52, beginning of Rebirth. He came in, I think.
Right.
But like forced diversity would be doing that because there is a character that literally fits what you want, but you don't. Duke Thomas, that's his name. Yeah, but there's a character that fits what you want, but you're just trying to change up a character that already exists that people identify with. Because one of the other things I really don't like, and it actually goes back to the comics. So the perfect character for this is Iris West. Mm-hmm. So in the TV show, we have Candice Patton, who's playing obviously a black Iris West. The Wests are black. In the cinematic universe, at the moment, we got Kiersey Clemens, who's mixed. I think one of her parents is white, one of them is black. But who knows? They might recast that. But I think they'll still stick with the person of color actress, whether it is mixed, black, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to do that in the cinematic stuff, they have to change it in the comics. They have to. In my opinion, they have to, because you get people because comics is a dying industry. Mm-hmm. Every single day, it's slowly going down. And if you say have like a young, is Candace mixed? I didn't know. I thought her mum was just really light skinned. I'm not too sure. Anyway, it's going to happen with Birds of Prey as well with Black Canary. You have a young black or young mixed character, girl or boy that really identifies with that character. They go, oh, I want to read more about that character, mm-hmm. and because they look like them, or they look like their sister, or they look like their mum, and they want to identify that character. And then they go to the comics, and it's a white redhead.
Mm-hmm.
They lose that connection straight away.
Yes, Black Lightning is in crisis, guys. I see like 3.
They have to update that, and in my opinion, they have to go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine with them changing the character layout, because is Iris being white and a redhead that important to the character?
Right.
To me, it's not.
Right.
But it is also a side character.
I've seen a lot of people complaining because the fans of Gotham did become attached to the Gordon character, and so they kind of feel like it's a slap in the face to do this with the movies. But it's two different things. I mean.
And I think Jeffrey Wright is an amazing choice.
So a lot of people were talking. So I've seen several videos talking about Jeffrey Wright, and people talk about movies that he's been in. But do they not forget that he's in Westworld, and that's an amazing series?
Yeah, he's
Like,
in James Bond. He's in
yeah,
the more
but
recent
his
James Bond
Westworld
movies.
character is amazing. Like
Yeah,
I think he's an amazing character actor. Like he really gets into the roles that he's playing. I'm just curious, and I saw this was like maybe it was an article I read like yesterday where they weren't even pursuing anyone but diverse actors for the role of Jim Gordon. Is that true? I mean, do you think that's true? That they were never looking specifically for a comic book accurate Jim Gordon.
Well, I don't know. Well,
kind of going.
There's been some bait because they keep saying that Matt Reeves is only looking for a person of color, Catwoman, which isn't the case because Vanessa Kirby was at the top of the list, the casting list.
Right.
Last time I checked, she's white with blonde hair,
right.
and if I had to cast that role, I'd probably go Ana de Armas. Even though I think she'd be a good Supergirl, but I think she's very exotic. She's Cuban, and she looks like she'd be a good Catwoman.
Right.
And I think she'd match well with Robert Pattinson's Batman and Bruce Wayne. But like, I think like the whole, because everyone wants to be like either one side or the other. So like if people want to be like on the like it's like the quote unquote woke side where everything has to be diverse and every character has to be like race bended or gender bended or something along those lines. And then there's the others where quote unquote comic book fans, but really they're just purists that are sort of against change and everything like that. But I think it just depends on the character. If because you got to remember these comics were written back in the day when there was slurs and everything. Like really. Up until like the 80s, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of characters were created.
That shit was still going around.
Were stereotypical characters that weren't the best versions of anybody they were based on, and so they've had to update it and change it over the years. So I mean, it makes sense. But
like to me, like Poison Ivy should be someone like South American or something like that. Like I know people want Rihanna, but I think like Poison Ivy, like South American, like Amazon rainforest and stuff like that. That to me, that's what like Poison Ivy should be that in like live action.
Right.
I think it makes sense, and they could associate the origin around that.
Right.
But I think it just comes down to the character. I think like some of the characters you can't change their race because I think it's so important to, what do you want to call it? Like I guess their character story and just necessarily like making sense. And I talked to you before. This is like Superman. I think Superman should always be a white dude with black hair. I think it should always be that because I always feel the Kryptonians would just, if they're an alien race, they should all pretty much look fairly similar. Because that's one thing I like that Titans has done this season, where the Tamarins are all like they're all black, but they're like very dark. They're almost like are pretty much have the same skin color. Which I like. I like that because they're an alien race. That makes sense to me. Why it doesn't make sense to me how like you could be on this Earth or this planet X amount of light years away, and then you got Asian people, Mexican people, black people, white people. Doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like in my opinion, if I saw like an alien race, but they're like humanoid and they sort of I guess look like someone on Earth, they would all be the one race. Whether it's a planet of people that are like look Hispanic or they're black or they're white or they're Asian or whatever that might be.
Right.
Or the little green men, whatever they might be.
So
that makes sense to me.
I like Jeffrey Wright. I'm really curious to see like what he's going to do with the role, if in fact he has been confirmed. Like there's so many different stories out there being considered for, confirmed as, and even Jeffrey himself has retweeted stuff, from Matt Reeves. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that, I guess. But, so yeah, I think it's a character by character thing. And I think you have to be careful with it because if you push it too far, you're going to push people, literally push them away from your properties. So.
Yeah, well, as I say, it just comes down to like people saying like, I'll bring up that point, like people saying that Jeffrey Wright casting is forced diversity, which in my opinion it isn't, because the difference between forced diversity and just diversity in general. But I think it's just about bringing in characters like Vixen. Like I think Vixen should be like, why isn't after Black Panther, why haven't DC greenlit a Vixen movie and getting like a young, I don't know who they would get, whether it be an African actress that's from Africa, like a Lupita Nyong'o or something like that, or just a black actress that's living in America or England, wherever it might be. Why are they not greenlighting something like that?
Right. What are you talking
Which
about? There
is
wasn't a black character on X-Men. Like Storm is literally one of the best characters on the team. Am I missing something here? She's like top 3 in that team. For some people, she's like number 1. She was the leader of, I believe, the Gold team in the comics for a while. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, Starfire forced diversity? No, because Starfire was modeled after, who's the black model? She was it? I'm trying to remember her name. She was on American Horror Story a couple of seasons ago. Naomi Campbell?
I can see that. I didn't know that.
I think Starfire was modeled after her. So Starfire was modeled after a Naomi Campbell, I'm pretty sure, is a black model.
There's also a lot of people talking about Jonah Hill being the Penguin or being the Riddler, and they're upset about him because he's not like super ripped or whatever, or skinny, whatnot. But on Gotham, nobody cared that the Penguin was a skinny dude, even though he was never really portrayed as that in the comics. So...
Oh, thanks. Didn't realize Starfire was orange in the comics. God. Forgot I was colorblind. Oops, my bad. Didn't put my lenses in.
So we talked a little bit about the Joker thing earlier, so we're gonna this is probably be the last thing we talk about that's outside of DC TV. But with the Joker coming along and being, we talked again about the statements that were made and things like that. The movie comes out very soon. Do you think that this movie is going to be, with all the drama around it, do you think it's going to hurt the sales of this film? Like the Joker movie?
I don't know. Because it's sort of different. Because you could argue the controversy around say Captain Marvel allowed the movie to make a bit more money, but this is a bit of a different controversy around it.
Nick, your super chat got burned over? I didn't see your super chat.
I don't know. It just depends. Because the thing is, it depends because I think the domestic for it will be very good in America. It matters what it's like outside of America.
Right.
That's the big thing.
No, Nick, we'll answer your question here in a minute. I'm sorry. Somehow it didn't come up on my screen or I didn't see it. But you're still here. We'll do it in just a second. Thank you so much.
But the thing is that the movie is going to be a success anyway because it only cost $50 million to make. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really have to do too much advertising because the online trailers are doing that enough, and people just talking about it and it being in the news is enough. Because every article that talks about it is going to say Joker hits theaters this Thursday or next Thursday. Right. People are going to know it's out. So it might be affected, but it's hard to tell. It's honestly, I think it's almost impossible to tell because tickets went on pre-sale, but it's not like a blockbuster where people are just going to go and watch it. I don't think it's necessarily going to have a ridiculous pre-sale amount. And also, jokes aside, people might avoid the opening days for obvious reasons if they are paranoid. So,
excuse me.
Even though I think it's stupid to associate that with the movie, people are paranoid. They might avoid the movie that first couple of days, or at least that first weekend. But yeah, as I said, it's hard to tell because it's also R-rated.
So here's the thing.
America.
I think the movie critically will probably, it's either going to get propped up for being amazing, or we're going to have a lot of critics afraid to give it a good score because of all the controversy surrounding it and all the different activist groups and things. I think with the fans, the people that love the Joker, and I'm saying this, and I believe this, you love the Joker from the comics, you love the Joker from the animated series, you're going to go into this movie and you're going to be so disappointed because it's going to be nothing like that. It's going to be nothing like that. This Joker, from what I've read, the early stuff that's been released about it, this is nothing like a movie that you would expect from the Joker connected to the Batman universe. It's very loosely based on the Joker. So,
from what I've read and heard, it's exactly what you're saying until the last bit of the movie, where then it sets up that connection to the broader DC universe, and links that this character would become that Joker.
And I'll continue to say this. To me, the Joker is boring without Batman. That's just my opinion.
Because the whole reason,
he's only dangerous against Batman specifically because he's unpredictable.
Yeah,
that's it. So All right, there's a super chat here from Nick Turncoat. Somehow I missed it. $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Nick. What's your opinion? Disney as a corporate conglomerate attaining Fox and gaining a monopoly on media. So, I think in some ways it's been a benefit. In some ways it's hurt the film industry. So you look at something like Star Wars, you would say Disney getting that property has hurt the property, and I think across the board most people probably agree with that statement. Simply because the last two movies, specifically the last movie, was not well received. But if you look at the MCU, you can't say that they didn't do right by Marvel, because those movies are making so much money. Even the ones that don't make a lot of money still make money. And so, yeah, by certain standards, there's been maybe one flop, two flops in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But you look at this year and they've made so much money financially. Disney's done a great job with them. And as far as acquiring Fox, we don't really know what they're going to do with those properties right now. They could continue to do, like they said, they were going to let it operate as its own independent thing, and they were just going to be the parent company of the Fox properties, which I think would be the best thing for them to do. Or they could gobble up those Fox properties and turn them into like Disney properties. If they did that, I think it would be a mistake, because there's a lot of Fox properties that I think need to stay a little bit edgy. I don't think they necessarily need to be Disney-fied. So anyway, what do you think about that, Pagey? About the whole Disney having everything?
Oh, I don't know. It just like you won't really know for a couple of years. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You won't like until, because Fox already had like movies and certain TV shows lined up to happen. Like people been hired and all that stuff had happened.
Right.
So you won't know for another couple of years, because like there's rumors that like Disney's going to cut down how many movies that like Fox Searchlight releases and everything, like, which is like the movies that got like nominated for Oscars. It's like they're not artsy movies, but like, those type of movies, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Non-blockbusters and non-ticket sellers, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
In regards to the TV shows side of things, like they have like FX and stuff like that, which is
So
more adult stuff. So
Nick has another super chat here. It says $5 super chat. Thank you, Nick, again for that. In reference to now owning Fox News as well as History Channel and ESPN. So from what I understand, maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, they do have ESPN. Not sure about the History Channel, but I thought the news outlets and things were a separate, like they wouldn't let them own those things. Like the Fox News is still independently Fox News, that it's not owned by Disney. Is that right? Or did they change that?
I have no idea.
Hold on, let me research that for a second. Hold on. Does Disney own Fox News? No, Fox News and Fox Business are now part of the newly created Fox Corporation. The Walt Disney Company acquisition of 21st Century Fox will become official. They do not own anything related to Fox News and Fox Business. So that would say that the news outlet is not owned by Disney. So, anyway, as far as it goes, a lot of people hate Disney. So it doesn't matter if they were a monopoly or they're not a monopoly.
Well, personally for me, I think the whole buying of it, like Disney swallowing, it's pretty much like a big fish eating like not even a small fish. Like it's like those stupid iPhone games you get where you have to eat things. Have you ever played the game where like the fish have to eat the fish and the fish gets bigger? It's pretty much what this is. I don't know. I think if it really was just so they could use the X-Men and Fantastic Four, it's so stupid.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is that, that I like most of what Disney does. I enjoy going to Disney theme parks and things like
we all
that.
know why.
But
Marvel cock.
No, but I don't. I'm not defending what they're. I do believe that there needs to be some things that are like hands off. But in this situation with Fox, when companies sell off things like Fox has done, another larger corporation would have just gobbled them up. It would have been Sony. It would have been another company, and we would still end up in a situation where there's like one or two companies that own everything, and so complaining about who bought them seems to be kind of pointless, because there's like the big three now. There's like three big companies. So, you got Warner Brothers, you got Sony, you got Disney. Isn't that pretty much it? as far as the large
Say it
corporations.
again.
Warner Brothers, Sony, and Disney.
Well, you got Universal.
Oh, Universal, that's right. So there's 4. I would say there was 3 or 4. So, I mean, yeah, they're eventually, I think we will have like 1 or 2 large companies that pretty much own everything, because we're getting to a point where it's hard for any smaller companies to exist. And the downfall of Fox is of their own making. These larger companies, when they die, with the amount of money they're making, they've been making mistakes for a long time. So I don't know. I don't have too much of an opinion about it, because you don't really know what they're going to do with it yet. Like you said, it'll be 2 or 3 years before we see what's going to happen. So come back to me with that question, like in 2021. I'll let you know what I think about it. But is it justified? I don't really know what you want me to say about it. Like, I feel like there's so much hypothetical there. You know, we don't know exactly what their plans are. If you don't like Disney, like there's so many like tinfoil conspiracy theories about these large companies. I don't buy into any of that stuff. It's not my thing. I don't get into that. But some people do. I feel like Disney is just a company that owns a bunch of companies, and that's it. You know, I mean, I don't think it's not any bigger than that. As far as Monopoly goes, they had to jump through hoops to get approved. They got approved by a bunch of people that are a lot smarter than I am when it comes to numbers. So, I don't know. Any other thoughts on that, Pagey?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily Monopoly. Like, there's people just crying out Monopoly. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's more just the consumer market is... It's almost like hesitance. Like, even when Disney releases something that's pretty just average, like I guess or even bad, like Dumbo, and then average, like Aladdin. Like, people liked Aladdin. It was just average to me. Like, it was okay.
Just like Lion King was average, I thought.
Like Captain Marvel and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they're not terrible movies, but they're just average movies. Like okay, well, if this was released by any other studio, it'd be lucky if it made $500 million.
Right.
Like, lucky. Super, super lucky. So the biggest issue, and it's not necessarily Disney's fault, like that they've done a good job. It's just that it's going to be hard to, like, what's the word, like, turn people's views on other studios and other movies they release.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that, like, I think Aquaman made more than Captain Marvel and Spider-Man, which I can't believe. I thought Spider-Man would have beat it, but let me have a look at the numbers. Ooh, maybe Captain Marvel tied up. Maybe Spider-Man tied up. Mm-hmm. They made it basically around the same, I think it was. Like, that's almost like an anomaly. Mm-hmm. Like, is that the only Disney movie, non-Disney movie, to make $1 billion recently? It'd have to be. I can't think of anything.
Well, yeah, Nick, I'm reading back. You said, what's our opinion on Disney as a corporate conglomerate attaining Fox and gaining a monopoly on media? And I kind of answered that. And in reference to now owning Fox News, which they do not, we know now, and the other outlets or whatever, I would think if they were the only outlets for that media, period, then I would be a little bit worried about it. But they're not. There's other sports places. There's other channels that focus on history. And let's be honest, the History Channel hasn't really been about history in a long time. It's pretty much reality TV now, like Ice Road Truckers and stuff like that. American Pickers, I think, is on that channel. I think there's a lot of pointless channels and pointless avenues for media to get out. And I think pulling it all into Disney is going to make that we won't see any difference, except maybe a stricter guide to quality for what comes out. Because Disney, with the exception of Star Wars, usually tries to do their best to minimize risk. And I think that's what's going to happen. Philosophically, as you would say, I'm assuming you're meaning like just my general thoughts on like media being consumed by media. It's unfortunate, but I think we live in a world where everything is bought and sold. That's the way it is. And these larger companies, like with Sony fighting with Disney now over Spider-Man rights, and people don't seem to understand like why these people, there's no winner. These big corporations, there's no winner in any of these. People make a little bit of money for a while and then they just kind of get out of the game. You see this all the time with CEOs, CFOs of companies where they literally leave their job with like a cash out package of like 20 million, you know? No, Nick, it's fine. I don't, it's not that deep to me, I guess. You're looking for a deeper response. And I've never thought of it that way because I look at these as like just companies buying companies, you know? And it happens all the time. You see it everywhere. And the more media, like right now we're at an age where everything is doing a streaming service. We talked about this last week, Pagey. Every company's got a streaming service now, and it's going to devour itself. That whole market is going to die because there's just too many people trying to make money off of it. And that's the same way with these larger companies. You got a board of directors and a bunch of people in on Wall Street trying to make money off of these properties and these movies and these films. They don't care about the art. The people that do that don't care about this art. Like,
yeah.
So
it's
anyway, yeah, thank you so much for the discussion. Yeah, it's not that deep to me, and I really can't go any further than that. I'd have to have a lot more to drink, maybe. Maybe a little something else to get into that. But anyway, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. We're coming up at the hour and 40-minute mark, and we've talked about pretty much everything I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't think there's anything else. Anything else you want to talk about, Pagey, or you think that's it?
Well, no. Can't remember. There was that West Allen montage you made.
Oh my God.
We can leave that till next week.
One thing I do want to talk about is kind of funny. I was at the mall. I told you this, and I think I posted it on Twitter or whatever. I was standing there at like this mom and pop pizza place in the mall, and this guy, I guess it was his girlfriend, I'm assuming here, sorry, but walks up to me and he's like, "I know you." It's like, "How do you know me?" It's like, "Oh, you're on YouTube, right? You're Eric's Reloaded on YouTube." And so I'm like, "Oh, great." I'm in the mall. I look a mess. I'm all disheveled. I just stopped in to get pizza. I was going to like a cookout or something like that. Anyway, and thankfully he didn't ask for a picture or anything like that. He did say, "Oh, I love your videos." And then when I sat down to eat, because I was there with someone else, they sat across the way from me, and I was trying to be really discreet when I was eating because I felt very self-conscious. But anyway, it's kind of funny. And I was hoping they would respond on Twitter, but maybe they're not on Twitter. They mentioned YouTube specifically. So I have no idea. Anyway, that was pretty funny. Yeah, it's happened to me at conventions before, but never like at the mall. That's the first time that's ever happened. So that's kind of funny. Pagey, where's the funniest place you've been recognized? Come on. You gotta have a funny place, a funny story.
Where was I?
Now at conventions, it happens to me a lot. I'm sure you get that a lot at like comic book conventions and things like that.
Yeah, bit of a flex. I was buying AirPods.
Oh God, here we go.
And I got recognized there. Awkward holding AirPods, subtle flex, and yeah, I got recognized there.
Have you seen? Side note before we go, a lot of these gaming channels, and I don't know if you watch them or not, but there's so many reviewers that went out and bought like the Nintendo Switch Lite in every color, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, what's the point of that? They're like, "Oh, I got one in every color. I couldn't decide which one I want." Flexing on us.
Minute puts a case on the thing where it covers the color.
Yeah, it's just too funny. 98% of his followers don't live in Australia. Wow, there we go.
It's true. I think like 100 and something thousand of my followers live in America. I think it's like 138,000 or something.
Yeah. There's an investigation on how easily the Fox deal to do it through because, oh God, I'm not, no, not getting into that. Sorry. Thank you for the information, Nova. We're wrapping that up. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, guys. We're going to be back next Tuesday for another live stream. Don't remember this. Don't forget, like all the shows are going to be back, in like 2 weeks now? Is it like a 2-week window? Pagey?
Yeah, 2 weeks from today, Flash is back.
Yeah, so get ready for that. Everyone loves Pagey's accent. I hate it. I hate his accent.
Cicadas.
He sounds like he's from Tasmania.
Cicada.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Cicada.
I never want to say that name again. Hopefully we never have to go back to that. Anyway, we're out, guys. Thank you so much for stopping in. Thank you for all the super chats. Matter of fact, let me go back and do shout outs for all the super chats because I got a few of them tonight. Thank you, Sam, Dr. Cringe, Tyler, Elijah, Amir, Nick for the super chats. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week on the live stream, and Pagey doesn't have an accent according to him. Well, you don't. When you live wherever you live, you don't really have an accent. It's just, Anyway, we're out. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming in.